Welcome back to the Make Space Boring Show. It's time for another quick update. This from Raphael Roettgen of E2MC, space sector venture capital firm, on the financing rounds of space companies for January 2021. Raphael, thanks for doing this.
Sure, it's my pleasure, Jason.
You bet.
So we're off to the start of the year, 2021. It doesn't look that bad. You have almost $500 million of space financing, although 400 million of that is from a well-known company to all of us in OneWeb, which got another $400 million injection from Hughes and from SoftBank, their previous lead shareholder. And then across the board, a few other companies in the US and in Europe. Umbra is a major, which is propulsion, over to Sidekick, which is remote sensing. In Europe, we also had Leaf Space, which is an interesting company which does satellite ground stations principally for LEO satellites. And they took in 6 million euros, which I'm sure they're going to use to put up more stations globally. And yeah, and February, I mean, we are recording this on the 15th of Feb, right? So February, we'll talk about it in 2 or 3 weeks' time, but it's already shaping up to be quite interesting as well, right? I mean, we had yet another, I think it was on the 2nd of February, yet another SPAC merger announcement, this time for Astra Space, as in the rocket company. So another transaction, the SPAC, which is merging with Astra, called Helicity, is traded up nicely in the stock market, as have all of the other space merger SPACs. I'm sure it's not going to be the last. It's going to be the last one. So we're going to see more of those. It's an interesting phenomenon. So we'll see what comes that way. And we also had some rumors about SpaceX potentially doing another round, similar rumors we had already end of last year. I guess at some point in time that's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on. You kind of look at the 80-20 rule, Pareto's law, go, well, most of this comes from the OneWeb chunk. But on the other hand, still, it's $500 million, wherever it comes from. There's a lot of remote sensing I see on this list. And I'll link to your article on spacewatch.global, as usual, in the description. Do you think there's anything driving that? Like, how many remote sensing companies can the market handle, or is it just so easy to niche down that new companies should have no problem?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as always in venture, of course, the majority of the companies is not going to survive, right? But I do think there's quite a lot of space in remote sensing, because it's such a broad field. I mean, there's so many applications and use cases for remote sensing, right? I mean, literally in every sort of terrestrial industry, I guess you could use remote sensing in some way. I mean, in a way, I think me personally at E2MC would probably like even more entrants in the field, because even though there are a lot of remote sensing companies, we feel like a lot of them haven't really, cracked the business model the right way yet, specifically with regard to being customer-led rather than technology-led. I think, if you get a few good companies which are really starting with the customer, understanding the customer and what the customer needs, and by the way, customers typically don't care that the data is from space. They just want to care about the data being useful for their business. If you get a few entrants like that there, I don't see why you can have some very interesting companies, a number of very interesting companies in remote sensing.
Right. Yeah, and I talk to founders every week who haven't figured that business model out yet. Do you license it? Do you do it by geographic area for customers? How do you do it, right? Can they log into a library? Is it a shared thing, or do you pay a little bit, right? What's the rate that you're paying for the data? And that is true in other software as a service fields too. It's not just limited to remote sensing. But anyway, how's your book doing? Any cool reviews or anything like that stand out?
Yeah, I constantly get sort of nice feedback in LinkedIn messages and emails. So people seem to be reading it. They seem to have a good experience. They seem to enjoy it. So I'm quite happy about that. I guess this year at some point in time we will be working on translating it into 1 or 2 other languages.
Right. Yes, hopefully English will be one of them, because my German is not that good, but we'll see. All right, well, I'll link to the write-up on spacewatch.global, as I always do, in the description below, and I appreciate you doing this, Raphael.
Sure, it's my pleasure.